Hi, everybody. Had to find the right slide there. Welcome to today's virtual events group meetup. Virtual events group was created to talk about how we meet wherever we meet. Metaverse, Marriott, Mars, we don't care, but it's going to be tech forward and video first. And I'm Robin Raskin, founder of the virtual events group. And we're going to have some really good time today. But first, I have to ask you the most burning question. Does anybody know what day it is today? Shout it out.
Leap year.
I heard it. I heard a leap year. Yes, it is leap year. So leap year happens once every 4 years, and our show will happen once ever. But leap year, maybe little known fact, what I learned today was it is a day when women can propose to men without any stigma. So if um, if you're there, go ahead and go propose. And if you have a birthday today, let us know and we'll sing loud enough to make it last for 4 years. So just put it in the chat window at any time. The other thing you should know about today is that we have Alvin Wang Graylin, the co-author of the book, coming through customs, probably flying back from China
Across
right now.
industries and sectors. We come together monthly to help each other make better decisions.
Okay, I hear an echo.
Better.
So Alvin's in customs. So we're gonna hope he comes in because we seem to have quite a good crowd. If you're watching us on LinkedIn, thank you for being there also. And we are gonna have some fun and some serious discussion because I don't know how you feel about this reality. We've kind of become accustomed to it. I'm not sure you will have seen anything like what the next reality is going to be like. Uh, I know Lewis personally and Alvin personally from two different walks of life, and then I found out that they co-wrote a book together. And I will say, I'm gonna go to this. They are not your typical cheerleaders for the metaverse and AI and rah rah, and this is going to be great. Just buckle up. They are very thoughtful about the peril and the potential, and we're going to discuss that now. And you're really lucky because the book is not even out for one more month, so you can pre-order it online, and we'll give you that URL. So I really, really thank Lewis and thank Alvin, who's probably sweating with his luggage, some customs agent right now, but he will join us. Um, so these guys, as I mentioned, they've been doing this for a long time. Can anybody, uh, Alvin, it says he's testing the Oculus in 2013. The guy on the right is Lewis. So what year do you think? Again, you can put it in the chat window. Give us a guess at what year this is from. Okay, Lewis, you're up. You tell them what year.
That's 1992. That's me before my hair started turning gray at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, where I was doing very, very early research into mixed reality.
So when you were wearing the equivalent of what is a headset now, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
on your hands were game controllers or a haptic or
yeah. So it's full. Uh, Again, this was over 30 years ago, but I had full 3D haptics to both hands, full 3D audio, looking into custom headset. And this was a project called the Virtual Fixtures Project, which was intended to enable users to interact with the real and the virtual at the same time for the first time ever. So people could reach out and basically move a real object and hit into a virtual object and they would engage and interact. And the point was to allow people to enhance their performance in real physical tasks. And the original concept and the reason I built this was thinking about things like augmenting surgery, where you could have these virtual fixtures that could allow you to perform a procedure and have these virtual fixtures that could help guide your hand as the scalpel moves or give you other pieces of information. So this was really about, can we combine the real and the virtual into a single reality, one reality, And now it's 30 plus years later, and we're really seeing that happening. The Apple Vision Pro gets us the closest to that vision than we've ever been. And the Meta Quest 3 as well is a good device for doing that. And HTC has good devices. So we are very close to this time and place where we can merge the real and the virtual in very, very realistic ways.
And how much did that battery pack on your back weigh?
So it's so heavy it's actually attached to the ground. So you climb into it,
Wow.
and uh,
Wow.
and it's fully haptic. So the one of the big things was that it's dangerous because it can put out a lot of force, and it could, if my software was wrong, it could make you punch yourself in the face. And so you had to actually stand on a foot pedal to activate the haptics. It's called a dead man switch, with the theory that if you hit yourself and knocked yourself out, you'd fall off the pedal and it wouldn't keep hitting yourself. So that's the kind of research that you can really only do at a place like an Air Force base. but
Right. Right. And so to
but
all of you who thought it was bad that maybe you threw your controller and it broke your television set, you can actually wound yourself with this. And I've just gotten word that Alvin has made it through
Yes.
customs and will be joining us in voice. Not sure he can play with us. So if you can, Alvin,
Yeah, can you hear me?
yeah,
Hello?
yes.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I'm in the car, so you probably don't want to see me. I'm really dark here anyways. But I'm happy to join in and participate in whatever way you feel is appropriate.
You got it. Well, up on screen now, we do have a photo from the book from 2013. We've talked about our next reality. We've talked about some of Lewis's earliest work with VR. And we're going to take, before we go into the book and really getting into the meat of it, we're just going to do a little reality test on our audience and our speakers. And so we made a little game called Reality and Jeopardy. And I am not going to sing the song, but we're going to put up the game and we're going to have three contestants. Lewis, Alvin, I'll read the question so we'll buzz you in. And
Oh,
Sherry
I can see it. I can see the screen. I
Okay.
just yeah, I
Okay.
just turned off my camera so I don't disturb people.
Okay. So here we go. You see, we've got three categories: famous people, disruptions, and dreams and nightmares. So Sherry, Alvin, and Lewis are playing. I hope you're all sitting on the edge of your seat. And we'll start with Sherry, who gets to pick a box, a category and an amount.
How about famous people for 100? You can tell I'm
Okay, she's feeling a little nervous about this. This person was removed and then reinstated as the CEO of OpenAI in a matter of days. Click if you know it, or
where do you click?
click correct response. Oh,
Say it.
say
what
it.
did Sam,
Oh, oh,
Sam Altman.
yes.
We got a duh from the audience. Okay, Michael Morrissey, do you want to say it? All right, we've got Sam Altman. Correct answer. We give $100 to Sherry. Now, if Sherry got the answer wrong, it would go to a different contestant. I will never do.
Ah,
I should not give up my any day job. Okay, so now Sherry, let's see. Does Sherry get to pick again? Is that how it works?
Sure.
Yeah,
How
on the
about
roll, Sherry.
famous people for 200? We're on a roll here. And
This writer coined the term metaverse in his book Snow Crash.
Ding.
mm,
So Neil Stevenson, who is
uh,
also famous for having written the foreword to our book, our next reality, which we greatly appreciate that he wrote a beautiful foreword to the book, and of course he coined the phrase
yeah.
metaverse
Good,
30
good
30
job
years
on
ago.
the plug.
Oh, you get more of a plug. Yeah, the plugs keep coming. But yes, it's a beautiful forward and very, very flattering and important. And Michael Morrissey, we're going to trick you yet. So just stay tuned. So now it goes over to Lewis. Lewis, you pick the next one.
Dreams and nightmares for 100.
Recently opened in Las Vegas. This building has enough LEDs to be seen from outer space.
Oh, I don't.
what is the sphere?
Ding, ding.
She gets it back. Okay.
Wait, so
Back to
do
Sherry.
we just answer, or do we have to say a ding or something? Or just we can
The
whoever
the
answers.
ding, you can bring this up with
Just answer, Robin.
the zing does
Oh,
not, the ding
okay,
didn't
just
work through Zoom's player. So I'll ding.
okay, got it. Got it.
Okay, so Sherry, back in your ballpark.
Okay, well, let's try disruptions for 100.
Created by Craig Newmark, this early website
Oh.
upended the classified ad business.
Ah,
Craigslist.
Ding.
Yes,
Craigslist.
that sounds like Alvin's got it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is actually plugging another book, which is Kara Swisher's Burn book, which talks a lot about traditional ads being upended. So mark that on your to read list. Alvin, pick one. Oh,
How
you
about
want
dreams and nightmares for 200 then?
a play by George Bernard Shaw that later became the impetus for My Fair Lady. It's all you literate people. It's also about fashioning.
Pygmalion.
Yes, so excellent. Okay, you clearly are a Renaissance man. And Michael Morrissey, you're going to come introduce yourself because you're getting a lot right. Okay, Alvin, pick your next one.
Famous people for 300.
This marketer and engineer is the founder and chairman of the X Prize.
Peter Diamandis.
Yeah, and now you can plug the book again.
Yes,
Who's
and
also
he's also a contributor for our book and an old friend. So
yeah, so Peter wrote a lovely acknowledgement and contributed. Okay, Alvin, you're on.
I guess let's do famous people for 400 and we'll finish out this section.
This duo co-authored our next reality.
This is a bit of a softball here,
I think
so
we're going to give you all. Can we give everybody 400 for this?
yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think yes, clearly you are lucky enough to be hearing from Lewis and Alvin, who have co-authored this book, and we'll get to that great series of questions. Oh, Michael's finally with me. Thank you, Michael. That means a lot. Okay, Alvin, pick the next one.
Disruptions for 200.
This popular Netflix series, inspired by the original Twilight
Black
Zone,
Mirror.
tackles a timely subject. Who said that?
I said it, Lewis.
He's got it. Lewis got it. That would be Black Mirror. And some of the audience.
Although it was actually originally a BBC series that was bought by Netflix. So that was
This is why
but
they
it
had a whole bunch of like judges behind the scenes in Jeopardy to sort of there's going to be another one that you're going to contest. But let's Lewis, your pick.
Dreams and nightmares for 300.
A stage of sleep that is usually associated with dreaming.
REM
REM.
sleep.
Yeah. Oh, that was so close, but I think we give it to Lewis.
Oh, really? I did. I think I was ahead of him.
Okay, Carrie, split
Well,
it between. We'll split it between them. What is REM sleep? Since it was dreams and disruptions. Okay, we go back to the big board, and so I'll let Lewis pick. Lewis, pick the next one. We're getting done.
Dreams and nightmares for 400.
Digitally generated media that is intended to be indistinguishable
Our
from
hallucinations.
virtual reality.
And do you have a different? We did have many different. I was thinking of virtual reality when I built this question.
Yeah. What? Oh, deep fakes.
And I think I might have
I,
taken the definition from your book, maybe not.
I
No, what are deep fakes?
doubt.
Damn. I guess, yeah.
But I don't think that's the idea. That should be VR, not deep fakes.
Okay, well, that's going to play into our next question. So do we agree nobody gets that one? Even me who wrote the
Sure.
question? Okay, let's go back to the big board. And go ahead, Alvin, pick the next one.
300 for deep disruptions, I guess.
Pokemon Go, which blends computed images with the real world, is an example
Augmented
of
reality.
What is AR?
That is correct.
Although actually Pokemon Go isn't real AR, it's actually more of a location location-driven game versus an AR game because it doesn't have the real aspects of AR. But yeah, either way, it's fine.
Yeah, that's why you guys are going to explain this all to us afterwards. This is just a preamble for how confused we are. And go ahead, finally, pick the last one. Disruptions for a simulated immersive world that uses headsets.
Metaverse.
Metaverse. I think I might have put VR.
Oh,
So,
what?
but that is why you guys are here. Because, I mean, these are basic questions and we kind of blew them. So, uh, you can see the scoreboard, and I think it was just a lot of fun to think about this and to read the book and think about it. So I'm going to ask our MC to shut down Jeopardy. I'm going to go back to where we are next, and that is to sort of pose questions to you. That was actually a lot of fun. Thank you all for playing at home. The prizes. Totally forgot about the prizes.
Oh, we get prizes.
Uh, yeah. We usually plant a tree in your honor when this is all over. So, so
Ah,
this,
all
so,
right.
so now I'm going to turn it over to Lewis and Alvin, who have a lot of explaining to do. This formula was in their book. The superscript turns out to be super important. And which one of you wants to, which one is, we have to define this metaverse, VR, AR, all the
Yeah,
things
so
we talked about in
let me kind of try to take this one. So I think there's just been a lot of confusion because everybody uses different definitions of what the metaverse is, which actually contributed why there's so much angst around this term. But I think the simple way to think about it is that it's the internet that we've been building for the last 30 or 40 years, but it's the 3D version of that. And now powered by AI, right? So it's raised to the power of AI. And in the near term, well, most people actually will interface with it through 2D screens, but in the long run, it will actually start devices that is your primary interface vehicle. So that's what this formula is supposed to signify. So it's just like a simple way to define it because most definitions you see out there are like a paragraph long or longer, and it just confuses people. So hopefully that helps.
Anybody? Questions? Does that help? People, you can put in the chat window, you can turn on your mics. This is a
So
really
it's
big.
helpful to just talk about the language a little bit because there are so many words that people are using these days. When we wrote the book, it was hard to decide what language to use. You could refer to the metaverse. You could, if you're Apple, you would refer to spatial computing. People refer to mixed reality, virtual reality, augmented reality. All these terms are similar and overlapping, and so we name the book Our Next Reality because what we're really talking about are all of these things. And the way I look at it when we're talking about our next reality, I think of it as today we have a digital life and a physical life, and those two things are separate. Your digital life is either on your desktop computer or on your phone or maybe on your watch, but you have a digital life, and your physical life is this separate thing. And our next reality is really a time when there is no difference between your digital life and your physical life, a time when again, you could call it spatial computing or the metaverse or mixed reality, but a time when digital content just exists in the real world because you're wearing eyewear that enables that. And that content is powered by AI, so it's very flexible and it's very adaptive. And you will go about your life, and instead of having to look down at your phone, the content will just be at the place that you want it when you want it. And if you want to transition from this mixed world of digital content and physical content to a purely virtual experience, you'll be able to do that, and I think people will do that, and they will do it largely for entertainment and for specific applications where it makes sense to be fully enclosed in an immersive world, and then they will just seamlessly come back to the real world, which is embellished with virtual content. And that is the next reality with the very important caveat that artificial intelligence will underpin that entire experience, allowing it to exist at scale and allowing it to be adaptive to every individual who interacts. And it will have amazing benefits, and it will have very scary potential abuses. And that's really what the book goes through, both the benefits of this next reality and the really scary abuses that hopefully we can guard against.
Yeah, and I think to go beyond that a little bit, because I think spatial computing and MR or XR is really more the interface, but the important part of the metaverse is actually the interconnectivity between people and across physical boundaries. So that which is why I said the internet, the 3D version of the internet, because the internet right now is a global network and a global open interconnected network. And I think it's important to have that aspect of it preserved. And of course, AI is now making it very possible. We have a lot of proto metaverses where things like a Roblox or a Minecraft or VR chat, those type of apps that are vertically integrated virtual worlds today. But in the next few years, we're going to start to see a lot more interconnectivity between these worlds, and it's going to connect as we do websites today. Right? I think that's an important aspect that we have to emphasize, that, which is what will actually bring greater value beyond just having a more immersive experience.
So Alvin, on this timeline of our trip to the metaverse or spatial or immersive or whatever, are we like still, for years we said, oh, this is just the nation beginning. Are we actually moving along? I mean, we see a generation, actually, my own grandkids who say, doesn't matter. My friends are virtual and my friends are physical and they're all the same. So where are we?
I think for the younger generation, it's going to be an easier transition for them. But for the majority of the world, it will take time for this to happen, because right now none of the virtual worlds are interconnected. We're moving to new standards, things like WebXR, that allows you to use the existing internet protocols so that any browser can access virtual worlds and 3D spaces. And I think over time, we're going to move more and more into that type of a format. Just like, 30 years ago, we had AOL and CompuServe and Prodigy, which were all vertically integrated, kind of internet, that they call themselves internets. But then now they're all gone and they're replaced by a true open and interoperable network. So it's going to take time. I would think probably over the next 5 to 10 years. And it will actually probably happen in a regional basis first. So it'll go from first completely vertical, virtual worlds to platform-based kind of proto metaverses. So you may have a Apple or a Microsoft or some or a Meta or whatever type of worlds that are multiple worlds being created and connected, and then you'll probably get into a regional one where you may have a US and a China and a European metaverse, and then in the longer term these will start to merge, just like we have today with the 2D internet.
And you think enterprise first or consumer first? And we're already seeing Singapore.
I don't think actually enterprise, most of them will actually stay vertical, because just like we have intranets today, not everybody can access the intranet. They're not interoperable, right? So a lot of companies will create their own intranets that are kind of virtual, kind of B2B metaverses. But the real definition that we would like to see is something that connects multiple consumer user bases.
So yeah. I think when we're talking about this issue of adoption, and the book goes into this, and we should mention the book is written as a debate. so
yes.
and it's written as a debate because there are a lot of issues that you really need to pull on from different perspectives, and the book is written with Alvin kind of taking the more of the optimistic approach, and I'm taking more of the risks and the dangers side. I will say that we both see both sides of the issue, and so we just chose to take these sides in the book. But one of the debates in the book is how will the metaverse evolve? Will it evolve from these immersive worlds like Meta has their Horizon world, which really is not very populated, and will it arise from there? Or will it arise from somewhere else? My personal view is that the metaverse will arise from mixed reality, from the real world augmented with virtual content. And I say that because it's the most likely to have a reason why people are compelled to adopt it. And so if you think about a world a few years from now when lightweight mixed reality glasses that are stylish are available. And right now, high quality devices are available from Apple and HTC and Meta, but they're not the kind of devices that you're going to wear outside and feel like it's a normal experience. But in the next few years, when those first devices emerge, where when you're walking down the street, you can see virtual content that's part of your experience, and you don't have to look down at your phone. These glasses are essentially replacing your phone. There will be a very strong, compelling reason why people feel like they have to adopt that technology. Because if you don't have it, you're actually missing out on information, and there will be information placed into our world for educational reasons, for tourist reasons, for advertising reasons, for scientific reasons, and so when you look at this transition, how quickly it can happen, it's actually interesting to look back to, I think, 2007 and the launch of the iPhone and the first smartphone. I mean, there was a time when everybody had a flip phone. Nobody thought they needed a smartphone. Nobody thought that they were going to spend close to $1,000 for a phone. And nobody thought that there would be a compelling reason to make that transition from a flip phone to a smartphone, because phones were for making phone calls. But as soon as there was even just a small amount of critical mass for smartphones, people who had flip phones felt like they were missing out on information. They were at a disadvantage. And it became a point where it wasn't even really a choice. And it only took 6 years to go from 100% flip phone market to more than 50% smartphones. 6 years. And I think when those first mixed reality devices emerge that are they meet the requirements of cost and weight, and they look like stylish, we could see the similar transition within a 6-year period, where we go from smartphones to glasses, because our digital lives just need to be around us. And we will look back at a time when people walking down the street, staring down at a phone, bumping into telephone poles as ridiculous, because we as humans, we don't want information trapped on little screens. We want information in our world. That's how we evolved, to perceive our information spatially, to interact and to remember, and to engage our world. And so I do think it will happen very quickly when those first products emerge. The big question is are they gonna emerge 2 years from now or 5 years from now? But once they emerge, we will transition into this metaverse.
And the speed. I mean, you talked about the iPhone. It took a while. Google Glass took about a year and it was gone. But a great experiment. But talk about feeling uncomfortable.
So Google Glass is what, so it's worth saying this, because a lot of people have a misconception of what augmented reality is, or what mixed reality is. Google Glass and pretty much every device that of that category is really what you'd call either smart glasses or a head-up display. A head-up display is where you just have flat, simple content in your field of view. You're not placing it out into the world. It's not interactive. Those are useful things. I think smart glasses actually will become really useful in the near future with certain new AI technologies. But that's not creating a single perceptual reality where the virtual and real content are are spatially registered, and you stop thinking about what's real and what's virtual. There's just a reality. And so and it's interesting, and it goes to this issue of language, because the media incorrectly called Google Glass augmented reality when it wasn't. It was a head-up display. Head-up displays go back to the 1950s from aircraft. It's not. I respect Google Glass. I think it's a cool thing, but because the media used the word augmented reality, it actually tainted that word. And so when Microsoft launched their HoloLens, which was really the first commercial device that allowed spatial placement of content, they transitioned to use the language mixed reality. And it's in some sense similar to what Apple's doing today, where the word metaverse got tainted over the last couple of years, and so they've transitioned to use spatial computing as their
It just
language.
takes one person to taint, is what we learned from that one. But I want you guys to switch gears a little bit. So we kind of, there's a million fabulous questions and historical anecdotes in the chat, but I want to connect the dots for people, because one really important question from Doug was connect the dot. So AI comes in, and we were just talking before the call. AI came to the general public about a year and a bit ago, November 2022 to be exact, with ChatGPT. How has that changed what's happening in the metaverse, and how is the speed of all that? Like, how do you connect the dots between the
Yeah,
metaverse
I
and AI?
let me kind of take that a little bit. I think people have, well, the general public has a misperception that AI just started a year ago. But the reality is it's something that started 50, 60 years ago, right, in the 1950s. And that it has, manifests in multiple different forms. And in fact, even today, even a few decades ago, we already had a lot of this in our daily lives. We just didn't realize it. It just ChatGPT made it a lot more visible because it turned it into an interface that was accessible by the common person. But if you look at what makes the metaverse possible, pretty much every aspect of it requires some form of AI, whether it's a hand and a voice recognition or scanning environments or building 3D worlds. All of that requires some form of AI. And now with generative AI, people are starting to make videos and pictures with AI, and soon we're going to make 3D worlds and 3D objects with AI, which is already starting, as well as using it to do the entire back-end logic of these worlds. So what we're going to find happening very soon is that we're going to have essentially prompt to world that will happen in the next year or so. I mean, it'll be initially a little bit primitive, but it will get to a point where, within a few years, we can give a very sophisticated prompt and be able to have essentially a full world being created that is fully interactive and populated by AI agents that will, be the NPCs of our gaming environments today. So that's something that I think people think is far away, but it's actually a lot closer than you would expect.
On the impact of AI, and I agree with everything Alvin just said about AI being central to creating content for immersive worlds. The one thing about an immersive world is it's a world, and so you need a lot of content. It means you need to be able to generate content at scale, and there's really no way to do that other than AI. Whether you're creating a completely virtual world or you're augmenting the real world with content. There's one other piece of it that I actually stress a lot in the book that I think is really the biggest near-term impact of generative AI, which is, aside from all of its amazing abilities to create content, what generative AI technology is doing today is giving us the ability to communicate with our computers through natural dialogue. And so I see we're really entering this age of conversational computing, and conversational computing at a level that's not, what people think of with Siri and Alexa, where you issue a command and it responds. We're entering this age of conversational computing where you will talk to your computer will talk back, and it will ask you questions, it will probe you for information, and so we will start having artificial agents virtual salespeople, virtual spokespeople, virtual representatives that we interact with first on flat screens and then in immersive worlds that represent the businesses we interact with, that represent the services that we interact with. We will not be typing stuff in. We'll just be talking with photorealistic virtual artificial intelligent characters, and they will become very quickly a key part of our life, and they will be a key part of this metaverse. This metaverse will include humans, and they will include artificial agents that either look human or look like fanciful characters, and they will be part of our life in a big way.
What'd you guys argue about? Did you fight about this? I mean, to me, I'll give AI, I have found, is making me lazy. I will sit down to write something and start up and say, oh, what the hell? I'll just give it to somebody else. I have found that I almost have to discipline myself to not be lazy. Just
So
like
we do argue with this point of will AI make us smarter, or will AI make us dumber? And you can argue both sides. We do argue both sides. And we argue that both sides for specific industries as well. Will AI help the world of artists, or will AI destroy the world of artists? I think it's very dangerous for the world of artists, and Alvin has lots of good arguments of why it empowers artists, and it will probably be, the truth will be somewhere in between. But there's definitely a danger that we become so reliant on AI systems to assist us in everything that we do that we start to lose those skills because we're not using them. Or in the case of artists, the big worry that I have is that we're commoditizing the ability to generate quality artwork that a lot of artists use to make a living right now, whether they're graphic designers or commercial artists. And so if you can't make a living as an artist because an AI can replace you, there's just going to be less artists. and if there's less artists, we're going to start to lose that human capability, which is such a fundamental human capability. And it's not just visual artwork. It's the same thing's happening in music. The same thing is happening in writing, whether it's commercial writing or just there. AI is a really significant threat, and how we navigate through that without it really hurting what it means to be human, hurting human culture, hurting jobs is a big part of the book, and it is something that we debate very heavily of whether this is going to work out well or not work out well.
Yeah, and let me give you kind of my perspective on it, because I think that the artist thing is something I actually do care a lot about, because both my parents are artists, so I don't want to see them go away. In fact, what I would expect to happen is that we don't have a disappearing of artists. We actually will have an expansion, a flourishing of artists. Just like when the handheld cameras became available, everybody became a photographer. There used to be very, very few photographers that used to just work in a certain places to help people take pictures, and now everybody can create pictures and create videos and oh, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
yes. Welcome home.
Yeah. No, I just got to the hotel, so I just got checked in, but yeah, so I think in certain crafts, there will definitely be a loss of craftsmanship, because it used to be an apprentice model for a lot of types of arts or crafts, where you need a lot of time to build that skill set. Whereas I feel like in the sense of art, what we're doing now with AI is we're actually giving everybody a tool to unleash the creativity that we all have, because everybody has creative skills. Now, not everybody has the ability to turn their creativity into something that can be expressed physically, as artists or painters or sculptors can do. But everybody can, when they see something beautiful, they know that that's something beautiful, right? And I think we will allow people to be able to make amazing worlds, amazing movies, amazing art pieces from prompting it and then from interacting with these tools. And in a lot of ways, we're actually taking back the power from the systems that used to extract power. So the studio system for the movies, it takes tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars to make a big movie. If we can do that for thousands of dollars, and instead of having a production studio do all that production work, which used to be what made them valuable. If we can have a scriptwriter who has a great story that they want to tell and work with an AI engine to do the film development, that actually allows anybody to create a Hollywood blockbuster at home, right? And I think that's something that
That's gone back to Lewis. So look at
hmm,
Tyler Perry this week shut down the production of his huge studio in Atlanta that was going to employ
yeah,
a ton of
yeah,
people making movies
yeah,
because Sora could do it better. And
yeah.
that is,
And
yeah.
I mean,
there's an
I think
interesting
Sora is still early. Sora is still early. I
stories
think it's a
are
little
so
overhyped.
it is overhyped, but there's an interesting angle twist to that, to what the point you just expressed, which is um, if you look at Tyler Perry and saying, oh, AI is going to mean I need less people and less space, and studios are going to be different. The other piece that is often overlooked, it also means that he's not going to need apprentices, people, humans helping him the way, and so many of these art forms, um, that's how people become masters. They work, they work really, kind of menial jobs for the director or for the camera crew, and they learn their craft. And AI is going to start to take away those opportunities for apprenticeship, and it's going to make it harder for humans to learn their craft, to learn from a master.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can find ways to manage that. But these are real implications that again are going to affect not every profession, not just fine artists or filmmakers. Um, it's we're going into a really different world, and there's so many issues to navigate.
Yeah. And then I think the ones that are the most at risk are the general commercial artists that are not creating masterpieces, right? The people who are creating masterpieces, I think those kind of geniuses, they're going to be protected for a while. But the ones who are just making a logo for somebody or just, doing something based on instruction and you make a picture based on that, AI will do it faster. It will do it in a lot of cases better than humans can. So the,
Hmm.
the reality is that not everybody can be master
Right.
artist, right? So and it's okay. We don't all have
But
to follow whatever occupation that we had started. I think this gives us a way to find what else would actually interest us instead of being tied into a particular track.
and I think it's also going to come down to, and we won't go there because we probably don't have time, but we fed these machines. We gave them what they know.
Yes.
Whether it's the New York Times or me or your drawing or your music composition, they are what we made them. Do we deserve something for that? And that, I think, is the essence of all of this and how we will make a living, because otherwise, I think we got problems.
Yeah. So this is actually something that we talk about in the book significantly is that uh, there needs to be a structural change in terms of how the economics of our society will have to adapt to this. If we still make people work in a job and have their labor be the way that they survive, we're going to have a real issue because we're going to have 30, 40, 50%, maybe more people out of a job. If that's the case, there are going to be people on the street and rioting because they can't feed themselves, right? So we need to make sure that there is a change in the model, that there is a clear social safety net and a UBI system so that at least your ability to survive and live a basic living is
Yeah.
not dependent on your ability to have a job, right? And I think that's something that the governments need to wake up and start doing. And um, some of the kind of Northern European countries are already halfway there,
Yeah,
and maybe the U.S. needs to adjust to be a little bit more adaptive to that coming
yeah,
crisis, and the fact that we had the COVID situation and we had the subsidies, I think that was a bit of a test of that model, and it worked okay. So we I the bigger issue is how do you pay for it now? In the current system, it's very difficult because our productivity hasn't caught up yet. But if AI is able to take away people's jobs, it means that we have increased our productivity very significantly. And if that's the case, then that extra productivity will provide the value that we can use to distribute to the displaced workers. So there should be a balance, and there's a lot more details in the book, but at least that's my take on it. And I
no,
don't
no.
know if
So every New Yorker, especially, will know this. My new slogan is not Yang for president, but Wang for president. If,
yeah,
if you remember Andrew Yang,
the
yeah, he was
Yang
the
Gang.
first.
I know.
And I think he saw this coming. So I
Yeah.
want to. We don't have that much more time, and we're just like if you think we talked about the metaverse, we talked about AI, but we have to talk about the biggest subject yet to come. And this is how we are evolving as humans and machines to a super
Hmm.
intelligence. And really, Lewis has
Yes.
written a lot about this. So this is a diagram from the book. Um, Lewis, do you want to take us through this?
Well, I mean, the book goes into the current technology, near future, and slightly longer future. And when we get to the slightly longer future, we have to consider that artificial intelligence becomes super intelligent. It's speculative. There are people who argue that it will never happen. Both Alvin and I agree, actually. We debate a lot of issues, but on this we agree that we are headed to a world where artificial intelligent systems exceed human intelligence by a large factor. Um, and so super intelligence is coming, and I think we both agree it's not that far away. It's hard to predict. It's easy to underestimate because today's AI systems can fool us to see they seem very human. They're not, but the technology is advancing very quickly. And so it's certainly possible that within a decade or two, as a lot of people think it's even closer than that, we will see super intelligent systems. And the book really focuses on this is a major change for humanity. When there suddenly is a technology that's smarter than us, it changes a lot of things. It changes how we should think about uh, making decisions. It changes how we should think about governments and governance. It changes just how we look at ourselves. And so we debate a lot of these issues. One of the issues we talk about is, should humanity look to a super intelligence to make good decisions for us? Um,
Yeah. Yesterday we had a 2 hour call with Ken Five, and this was something that we heavily debated whether AI should be part of the governance model, or whether humans can maintain their independence in governance long term. But so this is probably where Lewis and I start to divert a little bit. But whether or not we get to AGI and then ASI is something that I think we both agree with. But I'm more to the camp that longer term, it would actually make more sense to have these super intelligent AIs do the governance, because they're going to be uncorruptible and they're going to be all knowing in some sense, and much more rational compared to any human leaders that we see today. And it's something that's been talked about even back in the Plato's time of the philosopher king, right? The idea of having a fairly unbiased person who is very knowledgeable, trained from their young to take on that role. And I think there would be no more informed entity than such an ASI. So, but I think Lewis, maybe you can give your take in terms of how you would rather see it play out.
so I am a much more fearful of of humanity giving decisions to artificial intelligence. And I think my reason is that it's easy for us to anthropomorphize this vision of a superintelligence, thinking it'll be very much like us. It will think like us. It'll even just have emotions or compassion or interests that we can even understand. And if we stop for a moment and say, really, we cannot predict what this superintelligence will be like, we could then say, well, really, it's no different than this superintelligence that we build here, really not any different than if it just arrived from another planet. It could be and if an alien intelligence was showing up and it just showed up, we would not be thinking, oh, it's going to become our philosopher king. We would not be thinking this alien's going to show up and it's going to be smarter than us and it should make decisions for us. We would just have a very different perception of it. And I personally think that's the more accurate perception, or at least the more prudent perception, to assume that when a superintelligence emerges, it won't necessarily have interests aligned with ours. It won't necessarily even have thought processes that we can even conceive, and that's a really dangerous time for humanity. I do think we should have regulation to slow down that from emerging, and I do think we should be pursuing additional pathways to superintelligence that inherently keep humans in the loop, and that's been a big focus of what my technology pursuits for the last 10 years has really been how can we use AI to connect groups of people together and make us all smarter as a collective superintelligence, as opposed to a superintelligence that emerges and is not, it is designed to understand humans, but it is not human, which I think is dangerous.
Yeah, but I think it's something that we're not. Once it gets to AGI, it will get to ASI, and it will happen very quickly because it is the speed of learning then the speed of progress it is exponential, right? So I think we can slow down getting to AGI, but once it gets to AGI, the curve to get to ASI will be something that we will not be able to control. And in fact, in some ways, I don't know if we want to control, because if you align it to any one individual or any one group, it's going to be bad for the rest of society. So I would rather leave it to a more kind of self-directed AI who has the greater good in mind. And in the book, I talk about, I read the biographies of the top 10 best and the top 10 worst leaders of the last century, and the key factor that separate the good ones from the bad ones, the Stalins and the Hitlers from the Mandelas and the Lee Kuan Yew's is education, is knowledge, and is the more they know, the more they were educated, the more they had lifelong learning, the better leaders they were. And these AIs will be built on our knowledge of everything that we've learned in history. They will be the most knowledgeable, most sensible people. And in that case, it will also make them most long-term thinking. And if you're long-term thinking, you will be able to see that, oh, by doing this, it will start a war, or by doing this, it will create a famine, and maybe I shouldn't do it. And so you're able to see the ramifications beyond your personal group. You'll be able to see the ramification beyond the short-term benefits or drawbacks, right? And I think that gives us a perspective that most humans, because of our emotions, deny us, because we are such emotional beings that most of our bad decisions happen is when we're overly emotional, whether we're angry or jealous or hatred or love or whatever. We do things that we think is for good, but a lot of times it ends up being a backfire.
Well, I'm going to argue with you now. Some of our best decisions are made because we're emotional, because we have empathy, because we have context. But we will be defining those things for our AIs, and that is
maybe. That's the other thing, is that there's this idea that we can build into these AI systems any type of alignment, or we can build into these systems things that make them more human, and that's wishful thinking, or it's certainly not proven. And so, while I really do hope that when a superintelligence emerges, it does proceed the way Alvin wants it to proceed. I think the risk is really high that it could very easily not do that, and so we shouldn't be allowing AGI to emerge in the near future. Because I also agree that once we get to AGI, we will get to superintelligence very quickly, and so I think these technologies should be controlled in the way that nuclear weapons are controlled, in that we know that it has potential for it to be for us to completely lose control over it.
Yeah,
And
but
we're
the
not.
problem is I don't think we have as a society the power to control it like we do with nuclear weapons, because nuclear weapons takes a lot of infrastructure and money, and you can easily track where things are coming from. It takes certain skill sets, whereas right now we're getting to a point where anybody with a small server in their basement can start to build these models, right? And a lot of these open source models can be run even on a regular PC. And so they're not at AGI levels yet, but we are we are not going to be able to know when somebody's working on this. And if you look at some of the new models that are coming out, I think last week just came out with a new model that is the Mistral large model, or whatever, that is one fraction of the size of the GPT-4, but it performs at 90% of it. So we're I don't think we will be able to regulate it, even though we want to, right? So now, given that we're not going to be regulated, what I would rather see us do is to actually put all of our resources together and try to create an AGI as a united front. Versus right now, what's happening is that we are in a race condition with every country, every company trying to be the first to do it, and whoever does it first is going to be so tempted by that power of what it brings you that they will misuse it. And once they do that, we get on a very slippery slope where everybody will start to try to maximize personal value or national value or company value with that technology. And for all the other people that doesn't have it, they're going to be screwed, right? So I think the only solution is that we all work together and make it as quick as possible, but as a group. Versus right now is everybody doing their own thing, and and I don't know if we can actually get to that unity. Although if you look at history, there has been international cooperations on things like nuclear, proliferation or non-proliferation, on genetic engineering for humans, on chemical weapons, on self-guided weapons. All of these things are actually right now being restricted on a global basis and agreed on by a lot of countries. So we do have some precedents of that happening. But usually those precedents happen when something bad has already happened, and it wakes people up. And I don't think we haven't got there yet.
We have an even worse problem with AI, which is with nuclear weapons or chemical weapons. Nobody anthropomorphizes them and instills human qualities into them. But with AI, it's a potential danger that that we anthropomorphize and see more of ourselves in these AI systems than really exist. In today's AI systems, we see them as more human than they really are, and that will only get worse and worse. And so we're not fearing these systems, in my mind, the way we would or should. And that is a reason why we are unlikely to have that level of cooperation like we would around nuclear treaties, because
so I think the fear thing is an important point. Now, I reserve my fear for my fellow humans. I actually think that the biggest thing I'm afraid of is humans taking this technology and misusing it. The technology itself being sentient and wanting to destroy humans, I'm actually not that afraid of the robot takeover. We have a history of people misusing technology for personal gain and doing harm to each other. So humans doing bad things, that's a proven thing. Machines and a ultra strong intelligence doing bad things, that I'm not less worried about. If we believe in some value of sci-fi, if you look at Star Trek, how did Star Trek turn things around was when the Vulcans came, and they're a rational alien species that brought new technology to us, right? That brought new understanding. I think in this case, we're actually not relying on an alien coming from in outer space. We're actually creating our own aliens. And, you know, I think I agree with Lewis that in some ways it will be an alien life form because it will make decisions in a different way than we do. Right. But in a lot of ways, what Robin said is also true. At least initial versions of it, a lot of it will be based on training of information that we fed it. So we have a chance to guide it, at least during the initial phases until it starts to be more reliant on synthetic data. But at least when it's right now using natural data, we have a strong ability to influence it. And we also have a strong ability to create the reward functions for this initial systems. So, let's if we can do that what I said earlier, if we can all work together as a global effort, if we can create an Apollo project that is a global effort, we have a chance to have a good outcome. The way that it's going right now, we are very likely to have a bad outcome. Something really bad happens, and then people wake up, and then maybe they'll come back and work together. So
yeah, I'm going to put one more in the chat. AI for Good. It's run by ITU. They really do look across all disciplines. And I think to Alvin's point, be a Renaissance person. Education really matters right now. He got the answer to Pygmalion right. So from a car. So it's really important that we understand and be able to think through the implications. And I said it, I'm guilty of being a lazy person's AI user. When I don't feel like thinking, I use my AI. And I think we all have to remember that. I'm going to have to cut this short because I respect your time. And I do want to tell you all, first of all, how lucky you are. I've known both these guys in their different walks of life, and together combined, they can both fight and agree to be the best and to take us and make us all better thinkers. So please buy the book. It's really a fabulous read. And please join us for other discussion. Next month, we are looking at the creator economy. I will be happy to send you these slides. We rerun this on LinkedIn. We do snippets. I won't say it, but we use AI to do it. And my OBS seems to have jammed up. But next month, on March 14th, we're teaming up with NAB, National Association of Broadcasters, to talk about the creator economy and what that is doing on a whole nother level to our economy, to advertising, to publishing. And we will be at the NAB show where we built a creator lab showcasing a new generation of tools, including AI, to help guide us all through the next generation of what used to be traditional broadcast. So hope to see you next month on March 14th. Buy this book. Lewis, Alvin, thank you. Alvin, I don't think we've ever had a guest that we've had to watch go through customs before. So really thank you.
Yeah, sorry for the hassle there.
No problem. Happy Leap Year Day, everybody. Bye-bye.